All right, so we're going to go over our 2026 goals. I'm going to do a share screen here real quick, so bear with me. Kate. Example. All right, so here's what I have done. As in front of you, you have, and I hope I'm going to go in the correct order that you have in front of you. Nope. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, guys. I'm going to go in the drive. All right, so I already put all of these into the Google Drive so that you have access for those of you on Zoom who aren't here. What's happening? Those should not be gray. Hang on, guys. I don't know why everything is gray. That's very strange. Let's see if I open it. Okay, well, at least it works out when I open it. All right, so this is what your blank GPS is going to look like. So for those of you here, I want you to keep that page set aside, and then we're going to dive into the examples. Did you guys all get a whole stack? Okay, good. For those of you on Zoom, you can get into the folder here on the drive to be able to get a blank one, or when you come in, I have a stack of them here in the office. So what I like for us to do to start is this. What is your 2026 goal for the entire year for closed transactions? Some of you are brand new, some of you are not new. Whatever your wildest dream is, what am I thinking? So if I sit here in 1 year, this is the number of closed transactions that would make me feel good about my business. Also this, let me recommend a couple of things, especially if you're brand new and you're like, I just don't even know. What would be a number that would make you jump up and down and be excited? And then what would be a number that you could say, you know what? I at least got that. And so I still feel good moving forward and I can still make some changes next year too. So a goal and a stretch goal, if that makes sense. So what that could look like is I'd like to close 2 transactions a month, but I would be happy with somewhere around 15. But my stretch might be 24. And the reason we like to do a goal and a stretch goal is this. Not everybody, and I'm sure nobody here on this Zoom or in the room, but there are some agents as they approach their goal start to slow down. They stop doing some of the lead generating activities and things that they've been doing because they're about to hit their goal versus I've not hit my goal yet and I'm frantically trying to get things done. So that's where the whole goal and a stretch goal comes in, if that makes sense. Would anyone, while I'm moving on to the next one, like to share what their goal is for next year? Go ahead.
I'm trying to just get into double digits as far as the houses go.
Okay.
I did 20 and then a stretch of 25.
I like it. Very good. Awesome. Anybody on Zoom? I'll take that as a negative. I see Tracy put her camera on. Do you want to unmute yourself and tell us what your goal is for 26?
Sure. My goal is 24, about 2 a month, but I'd be happy with 12
Very good. Okay, good. That's a great stretch goal there too. Perfect. So here's what I've done. Most of you have done your GPS appointment with me sometime in this past year. And as a newer person, we look at the first, what I think are the most top priorities for in particular a new agent, which you all know, I'm sure you can recite out loud, I say it all the time, is knowledge, building your database, and marketing. Not that those aren't still important and should still be your main focus as a growing agent. However, once you get through one cycle of, and there are example guys in the drive of those 3 GPSs, and what those strategies and all that would look like based on that. And I don't think we necessarily ever put that aside. After a cycle in real estate, let's say a whole transaction year, or at least as we approach the end of this year, if you've at least been in the business for 6 months, it's not that I want you to abandon that GPS, but that should become habit now. If you had that GPS, which most of you did or do, you would have already started doing those things. If you haven't been doing those things, well, then maybe that won't make sense. But so what I did is I thought, because I like to make more work for myself, that we should be doing our GPS for 2026 based on sources of business, not just knowledge, which is I will attend 2 to 4 classes a week, or I'll read 25 books this year, knowledge, that kind of thing, or marketing. I will post 20 times this month on Facebook, or building my database where I'll call 10 people a day. Those are all still relevant. It doesn't mean put that GPS aside. So don't misunderstand. But these I decided to build based on 9 different sources of business. You'll see as I go through each folder here. And I built a plan for each of those 9 sources of business based on 3 levels of sales. Okay. So this first one here is for a total of somewhere between 0 and 6 transactions, which I budgeted about somewhere between 1 and 10 hours a week. So if you sell nothing, that means you spent 0 hours a week. You know, if you're spending 10 hours a week for real, guys, for real, don't lie to yourself. If you're spending 10 hours for real in real estate, you actually should be selling probably more than 6 houses, I promise. But I wanted to be conservative with it so that you can kind of have an idea of what that looks like. Can you count training as one of those hours? Yes. But please don't come to 4 classes a week and then count that as 4 to 5 hours of the 10. Yes, it's work. Yes, it's part of your education and part of what helps us grow. But if you're only trying to sell 6 transactions and you're counting 4 hours of the 10 because you were in class, you're cutting yourself short to be able to even get to that 6. So then I decided to then move on to using those same 3 sources of business based on 6 to 12 closings. And so this example gives you somewhere between 10 and 20 hours. Do I think that you can sell 12 houses in 10 hours a week? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you are spending 10 hours effectively in your week, which is 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you're actively doing the things you learn to do, you most definitely can sell somewhere between 6 and 12 transactions. I wanted to range it because it might be somewhere between 10 and 20 hours, just depending on what, how effective you are with your time. And then using those same 3 sources of business again, I did it based on 12 to 24 transactions and beyond. And this is where I think that's more like this is my full-time job. This is somewhere between 30 and 40 hours. Are there people that are part-time in real estate that work 20 hours a week selling more than 12 houses? Again, absolutely. It just depends on how good you are with your time and if you're doing the right things. And those right things look different for everybody. Some people, like, I'm not going to go door knocking. I wouldn't be very good at it. I'm not comfortable approaching someone's house without an invitation. But some people are really great with that kind of thing. If it's not something, and I'm not saying don't step out of your comfort zone. I'm just saying if I'm going to do something I'm going to be successful at, I know myself, I better want to do it, like to do it, and then I'm good at it, which is going to make me want to do it more. If you're not loving what you're doing, can you really succeed at a high level when you hate every day of what you're doing, right? So there's enough things that you can figure out for sources of business that you love that you should be doing those things, right? Because we're going to succeed better. So I want to go through this again slower, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the rhythm for today. So I have 3 folders just like this. So we're going to move on to the next one here in a minute, but all 3 of these folders total the 9 different sources of business, and in each folder gives you a breakdown of your level of production. And here's what the difference is. And I did it this way for a very specific reason. I didn't want people to think that the source of business makes the difference if you sell 6 houses or 24. It absolutely does not. Where it matters is in the strategies. And in those strategies, how often, how many, how much time, am I sending out 10 handwritten note cards versus 25 handwritten note cards? Am I making 5 calls a day or 25 calls a day? It's the same. Same with like open house. You'll see as we go through each of those examples, the person that's looking to sell 6 houses will be doing a minimum of 2 open houses if open house is one of the sources of business that you're selecting. So here's what I want you to do. And then I'm going to ask for any questions. I want, as we go through these, I only want you to choose the source column that you actually want to be one of your 3 sources. You'll notice that your GPS that's blank does not have a spot for 9 sources of business. That does not mean that we can't dabble in all the things and then find out what works for us. But really what you should be doing, and listen, Gary Keller himself works off of a GPS. Our brokerage here spends an entire day together, as you guys know, when the office was closed a couple of weeks ago, building our GPS for legacy. We don't have 9 different sources. We have 3. And we work off of this because this is our actual business plan. So focus on that. So what I first want you to do for anybody that wants, and you can, as I go through the other examples, you might scratch it off. So it just depends. But I researched what the top 9 sources, well, I said 10, but there was only 9 that I liked. So I chose 9 and it worked for the GPS. The top 9 sources of business that the most successful agents throughout our country are doing. And there's nothing revolutionary here, guys. It's all the same stuff. There's not going to be this genius idea that no one's ever heard of. Those kinds of things haven't happened since we got the internet. Everything else, there's no original idea. Everybody's doing the same stuff. It just matters how much you're doing it and how consistent you're being. So as we have our blank one, if open house is the source of business that you want to get business from, then that should be in one of your 3 priorities. If sphere of influence, which is your SOI, is one of the places that you want to market to get business, then that could be one of your 3 options. And if social media engagement is one, then go ahead and choose that. If it's none of these 3 and you want to wait till I move to the next example, then feel free to do that as well. But just know, as you're choosing one, you certainly don't have to, this is an example. This is a template to work off of. It's not meant to say you have to do it this way. This is just a guide. So if I choose open house, because it's the first one, and I want to sell 6 houses, when I wrote host a minimum of 2 open houses a month, and that sounds too many for you, well, then maybe open house shouldn't be one of your sources. Right? And it says a minimum. If you want business from open house, you need to be doing consistent, regular open house. As you'll see, as we move on, if you want to sell between 6 and 12 transactions, you should be doing no less than 4 a month. And so on then for 12 to 24 closings, you should be doing no less than 5, but probably more like 8. I didn't necessarily want to put that here because I didn't want someone who wants to sell 20 houses to not do this because they don't want to do 8 open houses. Can I effectively do 4 open houses a month and still be able to pull out 12 to 24 transactions? I believe so, if you've got a really good system in place to get people to the open house and what you're going to do with them after the open house. So where am I putting them? Am I putting them in command? Am I setting them up in a search on the MLS? How am I going to follow up with them to be able to turn some of those people into clients, basically? Make sense? So I'm going to go back. And same goes for the sphere of influence and social media engagement. So just going through each of them, if I want to master open house, I need to host a certain amount depending on the level. You should absolutely be creating a promotion for that open house like it's an event. Open house is considered in the category of events. Some agents host a bunch of different events and they're not actually utilizing the fact that open house is the easiest and the most frequented event that as agents we can have. So you should start to look at open house as more like an event where you can actually create an Eventbrite, invitation and invite your entire database. Imagine that your database gets an invitation from you every time you host an open house. That just keeps you top of mind, even if it's not a house that they're interested in. It's a real easy thing you can be doing in campaigns in Command. You can send it to the entire database, or as you're tagging people in your database, you can choose a selection of tag buyers, for example, and send everybody that's your tagged. Or maybe you want to invite your SOI to your open house. Stop by and see me. I'll be here in town. Maybe they're not coming, and maybe they're not even in the, they're not looking for a house. Because I know the limiting beliefs that you all have. I've heard all the excuses. It's why would I send my database an invitation to an open house? They aren't looking to buy. It's just to keep you top of mind. That's it. There's no other reason. You actually don't really think they're coming. Maybe they will and they'll surprise you, but really it's just another way of reminding people that that you're selling real estate rather than just relying on social media for that. And then you need to build a really good campaign around it. You need to do your invites. You maybe want to door knock that neighborhood or even just that street and do some kind of a, neighbor preview 20 minutes before the open house starts or something like that. Why would you invite the neighbors to an open house? They're not going to buy the house. Why?
I had friends at one.
They might have friends. I mean, I don't know about you. I want to like my neighbors. And if I have a friend that's in the market, I'm going to think of them first. But also this, you don't even know it and they don't either, that you're job interviewing to be a listing agent for them in the future. That's how. And so if the neighbors come and they sign in, now you can farm that street or that neighborhood because you met them face to face versus choosing a neighborhood that you want to farm of people that have never seen your face. So as you're thinking about farming neighborhoods, gosh, wouldn't I rather choose a place that they already know my name potentially? So those are just the ways that you can kind of broaden your thoughts about what I can do from open house and how much I can get business from that. And then of course, do your social media posts. Why not boost it, for a couple bucks and that kind of thing? Because it doesn't do us a lot of good if only 25 of our friends see the post, right? A lot of ways we can do reels and different things like that. If you do a video, it definitely pushes you up the chain in social media, making sure that your Instagram and your Facebook are connected. So that way, when you post on one, it also goes on the other, tagging people in it, lots of things that you can be doing to get the word out better. The only difference between the first example and the second example in the strategies is the frequency. It increases, and same goes with the 12 to 24. All of the same strategies, just ramping it up and being more consistent. Questions about any of that before I move on? Or how this is working? I know I talked really fast. All right. So for anybody, raise your hand if a source of business for you is open house on your GPS. Anybody on Zoom? Very good. We got a handful in here as well. Perfect. All right. So priority number 2 is your sphere of influence. These are the people I know. Sphere of influence doesn't have to just be friends and family that actually know me by name. It could be the group of families that I know from my kids' baseball team, right? That's sphere of influence. My neighborhood is sphere of influence. Any group or anything that you have, that people and that they know you in some way. Same thing goes in the rotation here when we build a plan around that is I'm going to do certain strategies to be able to build up a following of my sphere of influence. Some people say this, well, I'm not from here, so I don't know a lot of people and I'm not, or I am from here, but I'm just not the friendliest person, so I don't have a lot of friends, or I don't have a big family, and all the other excuses that people have not to market to their sphere of influence. then don't have that be a source. That's okay. It doesn't have to be all of these. Or I just don't want to work with the people that I know. I actually have heard people say that before. I just don't want to work with the people I know because I feel like it's going to be weird. Or I don't want to ask the people I know for business because it feels weird. I'd rather work with strangers. Hey, whatever floats your boat. I'd rather work with people I know, but that's up to you. So again, if sphere of influence isn't the area for you, then don't choose it as one of your 3 sources. But if it is, then we have to dig in. And so here again, it says, build my database, starting out with at least 150 people in your CRM or in Command. Where the heck do I get 150 people? Well, I don't know about you, but if you go into your phone and into contacts, it's going to tell you how many hundreds or even thousands of people that are in your contacts. So that's where you can find, that's your database. No, I don't want to dump this whole thing into Command because there's pizza shops in there, right? So I'm going to do it a little bit harder, which is 1 by 1. So you can start adding those people into your database in Command, and then making sure that I have their name. If they have a spouse, what's their name? Do I have their phone number, their email address, and their home address? That's really what you're looking for adding into your contacts in Command or whatever CRM you're using, is those things. And then what would be an appropriate smart plan for that individual? Also, because you're tagging them family, friends, know them from church, know them from the neighborhood or whatever. And so that you have them tagged that way. So then maybe they go on a monthly newsletter or something like that. But then we work on down to the 36 touch campaign. Some people do a 12 touch, some people do a 50 touch. There's a 36 touch that we do a class on that's in the Google Drive training folder. But basically, in a nutshell, what that is a combination of emails, phone calls and text messages, mailings to them like cards, things like that, and pop buys so that you might bring them something. Like, I'm going to take a gingerbread house to my past clients from this year, kind of a pop by thing. Maybe you bring a mum in the fall or something like that. Pop by and or coffee meeting. So you can say, hey, so-and-so would love to meet you for coffee just to catch up. That's an SOI. That's someone I know. And then I know what you're thinking. Well, what the heck does that have to do with real estate? You just sprinkle it in. Again, it's all about being top of mind. So you sit there and have coffee. How are things? How are the kids? How is your job? And then they say what? How is yours? And then that's how you sprinkle in the real estate. Yeah, I'm really hoping to sell 24 houses this year. So anyway, by the way, if you know of anyone ever thinking about buying or selling, I would love to help them out. You're coming from a place of service. You are not intruding on your friends by saying, if you know of anybody, you aren't doing this. Like when the age of when the vacuum people used to come by and knock on your door and try to convince you to do a Kirby vacuum cleaner thing, like where they come and demonstrate. And then when they leave, they give you a piece of paper that says, now write down 5 people's names and phone numbers. We aren't doing that. So you don't have to get that ick factor of, I don't want to ask my friends for their friends' information. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, if you happen to run into someone next year that's thinking about buying or selling, I would love it if you would think of me. That's how referrals work. We don't just market to our database for their business. We market to our database for their referrals. And then, of course, their business. So just a different way of looking at it. And then you got to start doing those things. You have to start touching on them. You need to start reaching out and emailing them a newsletter or a market snapshot of their neighborhood and a variety of those kinds of things. And again, as we proceed through my examples, the only difference is how often or how many, right? So next source is social media. And you'll notice that I wrote in particular engagement, not just social media. This is not just about posting. You know, maybe 3 years ago, even as short as 3 years ago, posting was enough. I can't imagine that more than 3 years ago, maybe 4, that I was engaging on social media like I'm engaging on social media now. Liking someone's post, guys, is not engagement. It's not. So don't give yourself a pat on the back if you're liking a bunch of posts every morning. That's not engagement. Engagement is also on the border of not just making a comment. Like that's minimal. That is minimal. So you should most definitely be liking and commenting. Those are a given. But what you should be doing is engaging, like DMing them then. That's engagement. Can you do that in a comment? Yes, but here's how that engagement looks. Hey, Kim, it looked like you and your family had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Wow, where were you at? Was that your house? It looked so beautiful. It's a question. That's how you get engagement. Just commenting happy birthday doesn't cut it. It needs to be happy birthday. What are you doing special today? You have to ask a question, and a question then requires an answer. And I don't know about you, on Facebook, every damn time someone says anything, we all got to like each other back. Who's going to end the likes? It's me, by the way. I'm going to end the likes. I can't stand it. I wish people would stop thanking me for thanking them. Thank you, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. I mean, I guess we're all trying to be polite, which is great, but it can end, right? So like, I want to say something that will cause them to respond with an answer. Ken, I was on the phone with him this morning on my way in, and he was doing his neighborhood walk and he was talking about how cold it was outside. And I know he posts that. So when I see Ken's post, I would say potentially, if I hadn't been on the phone with him, oh my gosh, good for you for walking in the cold. How far did you walk today? Or how cold was it outside? And then it causes him to want to respond. And the why that's important is two parts. Because again, I know what you're thinking. What the hell does that have to do with real estate? It is going to put you higher up on the algorithm so that they will start to see more of your posts and vice versa. You'll see theirs. And it then also keeps you top of mind because you should be then also posting business related things, not just personal. They say does anyone know what the 80-20 rule is in regards to social media?
The 80 personal.
80% personal and 20% business. I kind of think it's more of a 70-30 in my opinion, because if someone's posting constantly photos, I don't know what it is about people posting selfies in the car. Is that like better lighting or in bathrooms? Like that really kills me. Like why girls, why are we posting photos from the bathroom? I don't get it. Is it a lighting thing? I mean, I really am asking that question. Like, is it a lighting thing? I don't know, but it's just weird to me. In any case, that it wouldn't be what I would consider to count towards my personal. I think you need to be a little bit more professional than just posting selfies in the car. On my way to doing a showing, sure. What I would probably post then is my GPS or something like that to make it kind of involve that business again. And the reason you're doing that is it's not tricking people's brains, but you are entering into their conscious as a real estate agent. Again, top of mind. So we can't just post 3 times a week. We need to engage. We need to engage in people's posts. It's not enough anymore just to post. By the way, I know you guys know this, but when somebody posts the same stuff, don't we just gloss over it? Like I don't even see it anymore. Certain ads that pop up when I'm on my email, I don't even notice them anymore because they're always there. So I don't even pay attention. So we don't want to fall into that category either. So we need to engage. We need to put a plan together for your engagement. You need to be deliberate. I've said this before. I do my social media in the morning when I'm having my coffee. It doesn't take me very long. I don't have a large cup of coffee, but the amount of time it takes me to drink my coffee in the morning is when I have created my post and also have gone on to social media and did engagement. So it doesn't have to be a task that is something that, oh my gosh, I have to get to that today. Make it like I do the things I hate to do, by the way, first thing in the morning. That's why they say, make your bed, make your bed. My feet don't touch the floor. I'm practically already putting my pillows up as I'm getting out of bed. Let me tell you. It's a good thing my husband gets up way before me because I would make my half if he was still in it. Like I would. So make your damn beds. It's funny when we go show houses to the people that don't. It's interesting. But again, if it's so hard to do, it takes 1 minute to do it. But it's also just, and I don't know if you guys have heard that general, and I always forget his name, who does that whole speech about making your bed. I love it. It was at a college graduation. And he says the reason why it's important to make your bed is because it's one small task that you can check off your list in the day of the things that you're succeeding at. And I truly believe that's true. In any case, That's when I do my social media because I'm just not a huge lover of social media. I'm so distracted with other things around me that I don't know how people can focus and zoom in on social media that it steals their time and their day. So I actually do it in the morning so that way I don't have to touch it again all day. So putting that plan together on that. All right. Questions about these three sources or how you can select from the examples, the frequency. Again, if you have another idea and you want to pull, like if I'm never going to schedule coffee or lunch with my SOI, then pull it and replace it with something else. All right, let me get to the next
I
one.
have a quick question regarding the database. I've
Mhm.
found it pretty easy to find names, addresses, even maybe phone numbers, but I'm having a hard time with email addresses.
Great question. Thank you so much for asking that. Here is the script. Your first call to the people that you've added to your database. And Tracy, I teach a class. I change the name of classes all the time, but it is in the Google Drive. The 5x5x5. It's one of the top folders in the drive. It talks about what that might look like, and it's this. I'm going to add 5 people to my database, 5 days a week, and I'm going to call them and talk for no more than 5 minutes. So we do a whole training class on that. And here's the script. I've just added them to my database and now I'm going to call them and I'm going to say, hey, Tracy, it's Gina. How are you? I hope that you're getting ready for the holidays, blah, 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 whatever else. I would love to share some valuable information with you throughout the year. I promise that it's not going to be anything that's going to be a waste of time and I'm not going to inundate you with emails, but I'm just going to share like a newsletter or the different things that are going on in our community throughout the year. So go ahead and give me your email address and I can get you set up on that. I also will have valuable things like lists of vendors that can come do things for like spring cleanup and make it up as you go. But like there's scripts about how to get the email. But remember this, don't ever say, can I have? That's a question that they could say no. Ever go to a store when they're like you're paying for something and they're at the cash register and they say, can I have your email? And then you say no. But if they say, go ahead and give me your email address, it makes me feel like they need it to proceed. So then I do it because I've been told to. So don't ever, now it doesn't work with everybody. Of course, your high Ds might give you a little more of a hard time or even the high Cs, but nonetheless, go ahead and give me your email address so I can send you some valuable information or even a market snapshot of the, hey, your neighborhood, by the way, has been really increasing in price range. I've got a whole market snapshot that I love to share with you. Go ahead and give me your email address. So there's no easy answer to your question. Like there's not like a resource that you can go to find people's email addresses. But I will say this too, you can Google them. And if their email is public because of their job, you'll be able to find it that way too.
There's a smart plan too that asks for missing email.
Exactly. Yes, good point. Thank you. So there is a smart plan in our legacy. I think it comes from Amanda. Yeah. You can find it published asking for email addresses and kind of what to say there too. All right. So moving on. So the other 3 priorities are geographic farming. I also have a question. Yeah. Nope. I can't always see the chat, guys, when I'm doing a share screen. So just shout out there whatever questions or thoughts you have. Geographic farming. So that is, I'm going to pick a location and I'm going to basically circle prospect around that. Referral network expansion. What might that be? So that I want to, and then we did this whole class too, where it was about networking with different vendors and you would contact, let's say, a painter and say, I would love to refer business with you, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole script with that. I'm putting together a vendors list and would love for you to be on it. I've got, like, for example, for real, I loved my concrete guy. Out of all the trades that are building my house, I love my concrete guy. He did such a good job. He was on top of it all the time, and he did not overcharge me like everybody else. So I really like him. And so I will absolutely always give him his name out. And here's what I did. I said, hey, William, you are doing such a good job on everything that I just wanted you to know as an agent, I'm going to be adding you to my vendors list. And he was like, what's that? And I said, well, I have a list whenever I have leads that need something done, like concrete, you're going to go on that list. So what do you think he said? Oh my gosh, when I'm out doing patios or driveways or whatever, I'm going to make sure that I can give out your name as an agent. That's why we network with people. If you're doing that for them, then they're going to want to do it for you. So we're trying to find vendors and other business partners in our industry, and you can build an entire plan around that. For sale by owner. So I would say also slash maybe expired. It's a little harder to work expired listings just simply because their information's not public just because they were listed at one time. Also, you can't just find, like there are resources out there to find phone numbers. You can't just call an expired listing without checking the do not call list. They didn't give you their phone number. Whereas for sale by owners, publicly put their phone number out there. And then that made it so that you didn't have to check the do not call list because of it. They gave you permission to call them because of that. They've given the whole world permission to call them, right? So that's why I put it for sale by owner next. So again, same thing goes. I have 3 examples, and the only difference is the frequency or how often or how many, that kind of thing. Remember this, guys, when you're building your GPS, your priorities are a general thing. Again, referral network expansion, where your strategies are the to-dos. And every one of your 15 strategies should be defined like this. It is an action item, and you can measure it in some way. You cannot, if I have a goal of losing 20 pounds and working out is one of my priorities, I can't just say, go to the gym. What does that even mean? It needs to say, go to the gym 4 times a week. And while I'm there, do this. Walk for 10 minutes every morning, whatever. Lift weights and be specific. If you're not specific, how is that a to-do list? And if you can't measure it, meaning the frequency or how many times I'm going to go or how often, or better yet, I'm going to do this thing by this deadline. So you could have something on there that's also a deadline. That's a measure. So as long as you can measure it, then you can hold yourself accountable to it. Imagining that every single one of these 15 strategies is like a little white sticky note that you can peel off the page and put right on your calendar. And some of those things you're doing daily, and some of those things you might just only be doing weekly, one time, and then you're kind of spreading it out on your calendar. Let me also mention Brittany's website again, /app that we put in the chat multiple times that can help you track these things. Questions about any of that? Okay, so I'll just quickly go through some of these. If you're, I'm going to move up to the next, somewhere between 6 and 12 transactions, you'll also notice this. In the 0 to 6 closings, the highlight here is you're building a foundational business with systems that are consistent for lead generating habits. Whereas 6 to 12 closings at that level, you're building leverage through those systems with multiple lead sources. And then 12 to 24 closings and beyond, you're building a scalable business with leverage, marketing, and leadership focus. So let me just dive into some of the examples here. So geographic farming. This is on the 6 to 12 closings. Choose one farm of 250 to 500 homes. It's less for 0 to 6 and it's more for the next bump up from there too. Send one branded postcard monthly. That may sound like a lot. So if I don't want that, I can move back down to the 0 to 6 and do less. Or just replace it completely with something that you think that might be better or that you're more willing to do. Knock or call 25 homeowners weekly. host a community event or a client pop by quarterly. So again, what could be an event that I can do? I'll give you an example. Somebody here in our brokerage, she's on a team, but she lives in a neighborhood at it's Lexington Farms in Plain Township. And during their garage sale every year that they do, she rents a snow cone truck that comes and parks it in her driveway and gives away free snow cones to anybody that comes. And she does that sponsored by her business. So she's standing there in a Keller Williams shirt. She's passing out her business card to her own neighborhood. So she's created an event within an event that is going to bring people through. And so not only does she appeal to the neighbors, it's all of the people that are coming through a community open house garage sale. So lots of different ways that you can also tag on to other events already going on. I've given this example a couple times too. Another great event that's tagged on to one that just naturally happens is trick or treat. I did this with Mason a couple of years ago, where we put one of those backdrops on my garage and we set up a whole scene and a tent because it was a rainy day. And I used the KW tablecloth. And what we did was I had bought little mini bottled waters and we labeled them with my business card sticker on the bottled waters, which went to the parents, and then candy to the kids. But more importantly, what we did was, because he has a really good camera, we took photos of their kids dressed up in groups, by themselves, whatever they wanted. And the way they got that photo was they had to go on our Facebook page where we loaded all of them and joined the page. And then if they wanted to be entered into the drawing for, I think it was a $25 Amazon card, they signed in. And then the sign in asked for their name, phone number, and email address. So now we had them follow us on social media and we got all their contact information. And that was an event within an event, right? And so now I can regularly reach out to them. So a lot of different creative things that you can be doing with that. Referral network expansion, again, like I had mentioned, these are ways of getting networking in different professions and groups of people so that you can, I know for a fact that Cross Country and American Title do co-branded things with you. You can create co-branded flyers, you can do co-branded social media posts, and those kinds of things. Keller Mortgage has the same thing. They all each have their own site that we can even use to co-brand different things with them. So if I'm hosting an open house, it might be smart to co-brand something about the loans that are out there for that price point. Maybe I will go on to their website that we have access to and print my flyers that show, if you're going FHA and you put this much down, here's your closing costs, and this is what the current rate is. That would be a co-branded marketing that you can do right there from their site. And of course, you can also post about it. I would also say this, anytime I'm creating a flyer of some sort, that's a social media post too. Don't double duty it. I create those things to print and to post. So it makes it real quick and easy. Let's see. You can join the different BNI groups. Did I put that wrong? Yeah. Those are those different networking groups where they have one agent, one lender, one lawyer, one this, one that, and then you can be part of one of those groups that you're each, referring business to each other. So there's a lot of people that do that as well. You can create vendor spotlights. Like I should have done that with my concrete guy, created a vendor spotlight when he was out there doing my driveway. A lot of fun things you can do. And guys, don't recreate the wheel. Just put this all in ChatGPT and say, this is what I like. What should I do? Then for sale by owner, again, if you aren't going to be deliberate and consistent with for sale by owner, you can't just loosey-goosey it. When someone says, I contact for sale by owners all the time, but I never get anyone to reach back out to me, because you didn't put an exact plan together. That's not just a random, I drove past and I called them. You should be putting a plan together where I'm coming up with a list every morning, twice a week, or whatever you want to do, of for sale by owners. And how do I find them? There's for sale by owner websites. Go on Zillow every day and search by for sale by owner in an area and price range that you're looking to target. And then use the systems that are in place for you. I have an entire for sale by owner folder in the Google Drive that gives you, I think, 10 email templates and 8 phone call scripts of what you can say. And those 8 phone calls are meant to be budgeted over the course of 8 weeks. So if you want to get a for sale by owner to work with you, you need to stand out because every other agent in town is also marketing to them. So you need to do something different. I know Joe Evans, who graduated coaching last year, he was putting together an entire listing folder, like what he would take to a listing appointment, and putting them in an envelope and putting them on the doorsteps of for sale by owners. And he got a couple listings that way. Matter of fact, one of the listings he got, the neighbor across the street son ended up buying the house, so he double ended that transaction just by putting a listing packet on the porch. That can get pricey, and no, it doesn't always work, but it does sometimes. So putting a plan together and consistently following up. You've got to be the last man standing with for sale by owners, because I promise you, most of the other agents who have reached out to them, by week 3, they're done. They've stopped reaching out. They mailed to them one time, they called them one time. We're all guilty of it. It just seems like the easy thing to do. And then you're like, I didn't like how that conversation went, so I'm just not going to continue. If you're consistent with it, nothing better than the person saying, you know what, Brittany, I'm going to let you take this listing appointment only because you're still talking to me and all the others have stopped. But
I'm seeing a lot of this now. I feel like this limited listing agreements. I don't think anyone at KW is doing it.
we don't practice that.
I noticed Howard Hanna's doing it a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm just asking about it because I feel like it's kind of like essentially a for sale by owner, but we're not allowed to reach out to them.
So Howard Hanna is doing a lot of strange things. Like they're also not sharing their listings. Like they're keeping them in-house on their website, not on the MLS, but like you can go on KW's website or you can go on any of our websites and you'll see all of our listings. They're purposely not putting their own listings on their website because they think that it's going to have their agents have an upper hand with also getting the buyer. But what it does is it's not marketing for their sellers. Like, how's that in their best interest? So I just don't know when they're doing things like that, how that's in their client's best interest anyway.
It's curious because my neighbor's house is for sale, and I would like a good neighbor, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
I know for a fact he's upside down in his house that he's been served and
Gotcha.
all kind of. I don't think the agent knows this.
Oh,
I looked it up. He's filing Chapter 7.
Oh, boy.
He's in deep. I saw it coming a year and a half ago. I was watching. Anyway, but I knew it was coming, and I'm just like, now he wouldn't work with me. He's very stubborn and proud, and he doesn't want people to know.
yeah.
But it's like not selling. He has it priced way too high, and it's just sitting there. But I can't reach out because
Yeah.
he's got this kid from Howard Hanna.
Right. Yeah, because we can't solicit somebody else's listing. Can't.
Anyway, it's just
Yeah.
it's been sitting there for 3-4 weeks now. Way overpriced.
Yeah. And it will.
It will.
It will sit, especially right now through this time of the year, for sure.
It's not doing it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what they're doing. A limited would be something like they're paying them a small fee just to be on the MLS kind of a thing.
Yeah.
There are companies that do that, where like you try to call a listing agent and it says call the seller instead. That might be.
Because he literally says negotiate with the seller, everything.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like I've seen it a lot.
Discount brokerages usually do that kind of thing. I'm surprised to hear that Howard Hanna would be doing it.
I see it's Howard Hanna right.
Interesting. It must be some new kind of thing.
Transactions, and it's a pain.
It is a pain.
Everything.
Well, right.
Are you getting paid normal?
You don't get paid, well, you negotiate it all, so.
But like that agent's still doing the paperwork for them.
Minimally, like it is, because they're a flat rate usually.
Right.
And it's like maybe, it's under $1,000.
I just think it's.
Yeah, I don't want to call the seller and say, hey, I would like to show your house, or hey, my buyer's going to write an offer, and then I have to negotiate with the seller.
That's what.
And that is what happens in those transactions, because they're just getting some kind of small flat fee. Luckily for us now, because of the new buyer's agency law, we can still dictate how much we get paid and not have to be like I've had one of those before where they were offering $1,000 to the buyer's agent. No. All right. So then database referral business. So again, now this is going to be specific around just building my database and working my database for leads. I did throw expired listing and circle prospecting. So circle prospecting would be, again, I pick an address and I'm going to prospect around that address. So everybody in that neighborhood or everybody on those couple of streets, here's a good tip with circle prospecting. Every time you sell a house, you should send no less than 10 handwritten note cards to the neighbors of that house you sold. And handwritten, by the way, is because people will read it. I mean, I think it's like 95% higher rate of them reading it if it's handwritten versus a letter. I would say this, the next best thing would be a postcard. I would sooner do a small glossy postcard than a letter. I don't know about you guys, but if I open up a letter and it's not like something that I really need to read, I don't even read the first sentence before it goes in the trash. I mean, I open my mail over the trash can, trash. I probably throw away too many things that I am like, oh, that wasn't trash. But nonetheless, a postcard, as they're throwing it away, they actually saw you. So that's still better than, but they'll actually read a handwritten note card. No more than 3 sentences, guys, no more. It's too much. Again, I'm not going to read a handwritten note card that's got from top to bottom filled out. Like, I hardly can force myself to read a birthday card, let me be honest. So again, some people love that kind of thing, but yeah, think of the people that don't. So you want to be stuck in their head as they're throwing it away. But what you can do in the handwritten note card is introduce their new neighbor. Hey, I just wanted to introduce to you, Indy and her family just moved in the house over at 123 Main Street, and they're so excited to move in next week.
You have to get approval from them.
I mean, I would probably ask them if they're okay with it. Yeah. You're not giving out personal information or anything like that, but yeah, I probably would. But it's not a just sold postcard. Like, that's so old fashioned. If we're still sending out just solds and just listed, that's so low on the totem pole of things that agents are doing these days, because it's like, it was because we didn't have the other resources back, like 20 years ago. I mean, I think even Tom Ferry, when we were there a couple months ago, commented on just solds and just listed postcards and the ineffectiveness of those. It needs to be personal. It needs to be way more personal than just I sold the neighbor's house. It's not just about that. It's something more interactive. Even this, if it was my listing and it sold, I might send the neighbors, hey, exciting news, your neighbor's house sold for $25,000 over asking price in one day. Like, I have a closing today, and that's what I'm going to do in that neighborhood, because it did. It sold for $20,000 over asking price in like literally less than 2 days with multiple offers. So now that it's closing, I can say publicly what that property sold for. You can't do that until it's public record. That's not anybody's business until it closes. So I can send that out, and I would do it in a handwritten note card, not in a postcard and not in a letter. And so hopefully people will be like, oh, wow, I had no idea, but I'm excited to know, because those neighbors are wanting to know what that house sold for, And so now if they're thinking about selling next year, because I'm going to then say, if you want to learn more about it's funny, that's my seller right there. If you want to know more about the value of your home, please contact me. So always have a call to action then on it as well. The call to action is would love to give you the value of your home too. Digital lead generation. So this falls into social media and internet leads. So not social media engagement, but social media, like I'm putting out a Facebook ad for leads. So all of that priority 3 there is about paid for leads that are internet based. So that can also include social media, because we can put ads, of course, on Facebook. So if you're going to have a budget, that's where this column is going to be. This stuff isn't for free. This is where I'm going to spend some money on Zillow leads, command leads, Facebook leads, Google, whatever you're going to do. And then you're going to base that also your priorities here and your strategies on how many leads and how many houses I want to sell based on that source. Again, if I'm trying to sell 6 to 12 houses, it's going to look a little bit less if I'm choosing that as one of my priorities. If you're not going to spend money, and for those of you who are in the command group, then that's different. But if you're not going to spend money like on Zillow Leads or Realtor.com or something like that, then just don't choose that. It doesn't count here for social media. We have a whole social media engagement source that's not this, right? So again, some of the things that you might do is running an ad campaign. How much money am I going to spend on that? How many leads am I getting in return for that? Here's what's important to know, guys. If I get the leads from the internet, but I do nothing with them, like, how's that going to get you business? It's like having everybody sign in an open house, but I don't follow up with them the next day or even the same day. How are you going to get business from that? We waiting for someone to walk in the open house and say, I want to buy this house is such a slim possibility that also doesn't have an agent. So it all happens in the follow-up. I can't say it enough. And so same goes with internet leads. In particular, I know you guys have saw me and have drawn this on the whiteboard, and I'll let you see it again in regards to leads. Here's my house where I live, looks like a witch. And then here's the house I'm going to go to. This is internet leads. All the way from there. Here's referrals. Here's my database. Here's open house. And then the others. Internet's way over here to get there. Does that make sense? So if I want leads faster, it's going to be a little bit harder because now I got to pick up the phone and call everybody I know. If I want them easier, I will pay for them, but I will also know that it's going to take a lot longer to get there and it's going to cost money. And we know what those odds are, 3 to 5%. And that's okay if you're getting consistent leads, but just know what you're getting when it comes to internet leads. And you have to start to weed people out, but also sending them things, make it easy on yourself and already have your smart plan set up for the follow-up and that kind of thing. It doesn't take long to follow up with an internet lead. It's very small amount of your time, which is why, again, we say 100 leads and 3 to 5 of them buy a house, but how much time did you really spend on those 100 leads? I mean, I don't know about you, I can email 100 people in 2 minutes because I do it all at the same time. That's already one follow-up and we'll see who comes out of that. And if you do the right things, meaning if you spend the time up front on the content creation of it with a hook that gets them to respond, then you'll get more for your money and your time then out of those, right? And then of course it's all about consistency. So for anything really. And the hard part in real estate is this. You're telling me to be consistent when I'm working for free over and over and over again, week after week after week. Yes, that is what I'm telling you. You all got into real estate knowing that you're working for yourself. And that means we work for free. You've got to wrap your head around, I work for free and I don't get paid every week or every month even. And I have to then keep doing it. Otherwise, it won't ever happen. So, questions about these sources of business? Would anyone like to tell us what 3 they chose?
For mine, I did, I know I want to do sphere of influence and social media engagement, and then I'm thinking about the, farming one, or it was a network, referral one. I don't know which one yet, my last one.
Okay.
But yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else?
I do the open house, social media engagement, and then farming.
Okay. Awesome. Anything in particular for those 3 that you guys chose that stands out?
For mine, for the open house and the social media engagement, I feel like some of the strategies might be the same, just like switch, because obviously you're gonna promote it on your social media.
Yep.
Open house and social media, you're gonna promote that.
Yeah.
So,
Crossover there. Yep.
yeah. But these are good examples, so.
Nice.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For people that do a lot of postcards and do farming, do a lot of people get a PO box, or do you just use your address like on your postcards? Like, is that a safety thing or no? To have your home address?
You can use our office address.
Oh, you can?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's cool.
Campaign, you can send postcards and they do it for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know that I have ever
didn't know
put my,
that component
I
was
made,
there.
like, I go on Shutterfly and make my address labels, and I have a set for business and for personal, and the business has this address.
Okay.
Because if I get a return postcard, I don't want it coming to my house. I want it coming here, and they'll put it in your mailbox here.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And then I will be following up when we're doing our one-on-ones to kind of see what you guys came up with too.